Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. So like last week, we have a ton of questions on the forums this week, so I will not be doing live Twitch questions again. And we're also going to incorporate a lot of the same rules. It's going to be like, if I see a repeat question, then I'm just going to edit it out of the YouTube side of things. The Twitch side of things will still get to see it, but I'll edit it out of the YouTube because we don't need redundancy. If I see more than one white mage question, especially, I actually looked through, I think, the first page and didn't see any. So hopefully we're past that at this point. You know, we don't need a white mage question over and over and over and over and over again. Please look forward to it. On that note, though, as of you seeing this on YouTube, 4 days away from early access, 5 days for those of you watching on Twitch, since you're watching it on a Sunday, and man, I can't wait. This Friday we start the 24-hour stream where we're going to be going multiple days without turning the stream off. Flying one of our mods out here, Tequila Shots, Mel, said she'll take over if need be to keep the stream going for multiple days, 24 hours a day, and really generate some of that hype. We even got some new graphics. I want to show people on the YouTube side of things some new graphics that we're working with for Stormblood. This is what our new stream intro looks like for Stormblood. As you can see, sponsored by SteelSeries. And then on top of that, we also have something similar as the AFK screen right here. I just want to show off those new graphics because our graphic designer, Mori Visuals, he did these, and I think they look fantastic. And honestly, I look forward to AFKing with a screen that looks that hype, all right? Because that looks mad hype. I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, I just wanted to show that froze up on the screen a little bit because of when the camera loads in again. But on that note, now that I've shown you those things, let's get to the, looks to be 55 questions on the forums this week. All right, let's try and get through these the same way we got through them last time. Question number 1. Hey, Haps, last week I asked something, so no bonus this week. Well, choose a cookie of your choice. Chocolate chip. I'm a classic kind of man. I asked about Bard and you didn't get to the part of the question that I needed most. Since you played Bard in the dev test servers, I wanted to know about the songs. Like if a boss jumps, do we lose the songs, or is it active until the timer runs out? Yeah, it's active until the timer runs out. The initial hit on the enemy is what triggers the songs for 30 seconds, and then you'll keep those songs active for those 30 seconds. Of course, everything was subject to change. Maybe it'll be different by the time Bard actually comes around. But yes, while you do hit the enemy to activate the song, it then activates around the Bard themselves. Number 2, hey, Happy Kink. Oh, stop that. Good, I'm glad you said you will stop that. I have another 62 questions. Don't do that. Question about 14's return with the Warring Trident 3.0 and a question about mounts. I'm going to take the question about 14's return. So basically, should more devs in the gaming industry learn from 2.0? No, because you never want to have to learn how to pick up a game that was a complete disaster and remake it into something in 2 years and 8 months, which is pretty much what you'd be learning from 2.0. That's exactly how it happened. 1.0, disaster, led to so many financial problems and reallocating of resources. 2 years, 8 months to develop A Realm Reborn. They had to reuse a ton of assets from the previous games to help with that development cycle. They had to pull assets off all their other projects in order to get it done in that time, and it was a disaster. I don't think any dev company should learn that lesson from 2.0. Maybe listening to people, but I mean, even then, it's an MMO, so it's more about Yoshida's mentality with trying to resurrect a game like that. Maybe pay attention to that, but not so much 2.0 in its entirety. Number 3, hey Haps, been a few months, so have a returner bonus of all the soundtracks that will be released for 4.x's music and all the additional items. I just need the additional items. I don't need the soundtrack. I'll just go in game and listen to them. But thank the minions. Those are good. Anyway, I got 2 questions for you. I can only take the first one, so let's see what that is. 1, what do you think of the idea of Square Enix making the Stormblood relic anima, whatever is called, customizable from the beginning, as opposed to waiting until a few steps in? I think it would make our beginning steps, no matter how tedious, worth doing because the weapon would automatically be best in slot. For me, I'm indifferent because I'm a raider, so I get what's generally considered to be the highest tier weapon before this actually comes out. So in other words, yeah, I mean, I have nothing against it. It would give me more motivation to work on it earlier, even having completed the raids at that time. So that could be something decent to consider. For me, it doesn't matter when they do it, really. I'll still do the quest line because that's just, I do content for 14 anyway. I always finish these weapons regardless, so I'll do it no matter what. But yeah, I'm not opposed to that idea. Number 4, howdy, have a pet Moogle to listen to all your future Bard songs. If I have a pet Moogle, I'm going to burn it. Anyway, for abilities animations removed with ability compression, do you think some of the nicer, cooler ones will be added later for 71 to 80, such as Dancing Edge? Also, how will this impact the story or lore of the job quests? It's a good question on the job quests, just because I don't know how the job quest experience from 50 to 60 is changing, if at all. That being said, no, I don't see them just making a return of an ability or an animation. They may, they could save it for later, but then people are going to be like, oh, that's two expansions ago we had that animation. It's kind of lame that they just held on to it and used it for something else later. So I'm going to say no, because they're always wanting to make new things, updated things. They may use it as like a base, but even still, I think that they'll always be looking to make new stuff as opposed to reusing the old stuff when applicable. Number 5. Hey, Mr. Happy, the community here, and welcome to Mondays with your community. All right, this is way too confusing of a play on my intro. I don't even know what I just read. A1 Wreath from Behemoth, longtime viewer, first-time asker. So have a map of Eorzea, because after 3 years of sending my retainers on ventures, that's my prized possession. Man, those retainers and their roofs that they take, right? Yeah. Question: when does the first tick of dots actually happen? So you're asking if it's originally applied or 3 seconds later. So the way the game works is there's an internal clock that you can't see. It's different from Eorzean time, because Eorzean time doesn't tick consistently every 3 seconds. But it's an internal clock where every hot and every dot ticks on that exact second. So it doesn't matter. When you applied it, it could happen in the next 0.1 seconds. It could happen in the next 2.1 seconds. It all depends on when you applied said dot or hot versus when that internal clock actually wants to tick, or actually is designed to tick. So it's not a reliable thing to say either or. It entirely depends on when it's applied versus that internal tick. Number 6, konnichiwa, Mr. Happy. Does konnichiwa have an apostrophe in it? I don't know. I'm asking because I don't speak Japanese. So I don't know. So my non-14 friends have informed me that they've been seeing Stormblood billboards around their state, and Square Enix is promoting Stormblood through Carl's Jr. and bringing it was also at WWE, don't forget. Do you think it's because of the rise in 14's popularity, or Square Enix truly believe they have created something special that they are marketing Stormblood? So honestly, I think it has to do with the increased budget. Heavensward really didn't have great advertising. It was pretty much entirely the game's own subscriber base that kind of just went around talking about it. There were a few like ads on websites, but I don't really remember seeing Heavensward ads anywhere. Whereas with Stormblood, they have all this extra money to market it as part of their budget. And so they're doing things like, WWE, they're doing things like Carl's Jr., they're doing things like these billboards. And if it's a successful venture, then the game gets a lot of traction, and it's really good for the company. So I'm sure they're expecting a pretty high ROI on it, but they just had more money to invest into things like this, and that's why we're seeing it more now. Number 7, hey, Mr. Happy, you couldn't answer my second question from last week, so I'll put it in this week's threads. Good idea. What's it called? By the way, no bonus this time. I can forgive you. Anyway, on to the question. How do you feel about the new remaster of 12? I myself am very psyched, as 12 is my favorite of mine due to the strategy of the Gambit. See, for me, I don't think there was any strategy in the Gambit system. The Gambit system for me was pretty much just, all right, well, gameplay yourself. I don't have to do shit. That was pretty much the Gambit system in my experience, minus a handful of scenarios where it was like, it was just like so much more efficient to take control. Like, yeah, Azmat, when he's like got like less than 5 bars of health left, I gotta take manual control for that for a lot of things. Zodiark, in order to kill him off without Mateus, needed those individual times. For the most part, I didn't like that the game played itself so well that I didn't have to do shit. That being said, Zodiac Age is based off International Zodiac Job System, which was, from what I'm told, a far superior system where, because of the job system in it, you had to strategize a lot more because not every character could cover everything that needed to be done. So the fact that that's there makes me more excited, but also that Zodiac Age is going out of its way to fix some of the old PS2 problems. One of the big ones is spell queuing. This was something that was back in 12, where when an enemy is queuing up an ability, even though you've queued up an ability, they have to finish using their ability before your ability can be used. So sometimes enemies have like a super long animation on a very simple skill, and you're just sitting there with this ability queued up, waiting for it to happen because whatever, there's nothing you can do. Like, you're barely even playing reactively. And they're fixing that, so that it should feel a lot more fluent and, or fluid. And I think that will feel a lot better. I'm also looking forward to the double job system to make some absolutely broken combinations that are going to exist in Zodiac Age. So I think it's going to be pretty good. Number 8, hello Happy, good day and good week to you, and wish you a healthy times during Stormblood. Thank you. I need to get to that healthy, because I got E3 this week, so fingers crossed I don't get sick at E3, because since it is open to the public this year. My question is, what do you think was harder, Gordius or Coil? First Coil was a joke. Twintania was a broken-ass fight in a time where the game had an extra 1/5 of a second built-in delay. Second Coil, very well put together mechanically, but still definitely easier than Midas. And Final Coil versus Creator, A9 Savage is definitely one of the easiest difficult encounters we've ever had, including Final Coil. Amjagud was a way better encounter. I think most of Final Coil was actually pretty good, but it also suffered from the same problems that Creator suffered from, where the second to last fight was harder than the final fight. That's a tough call, because they share a lot of similarities. I'm almost willing to put Creator and Final Coil in the same boat, even though Creator definitely went down faster. I think a lot of that just has to do with players being a lot better at the game now than they were back then. And on top of that, just the amount of output that's possible now when you're actually doing your job properly is insane, especially for World Prog groups. So Gordius, way harder than Coil. Midas, honestly, still way harder than Second Coil. Although Second Coil Savage was definitely a step up. And Creator and Final Coil, they're about equal in my eyes. Minus A9 Savage, which was a fucking joke. All right, number 9. Hello, Haps. First time asker here, so a first time bonus of a 60-ounce margarita, because those are delicious. I need to live into Stormblood, so I'll take that to go, please. I'm an on again, off again kind of player, and I came across your YouTube channel multiple times. I really enjoyed your lore the most. Main scenario lore videos are great bite-sized content to help me retain key. I think I know what this is going to ask me. Will you be able to continue the main story lore videos up to V3.55? No. I lost a lot of interest in doing them because it is literally me just watching cutscenes for like 4 hours, writing down what happens, and then saying it in a YouTube video. I lost a lot of interest in doing that. If I'm going to do a lore video, it should be about something that's said or done in a patch or a prediction for something in the future, but I can't stomach the idea of doing those videos anymore. I literally just watch the cutscenes, write it down, and read it back. I can't do it. It's just not satisfying to create something like that. Number 10, hey Happy, love your videos. The first time I ask a question, your first time bonus is all you can eat, fully paid for, favorite barbecue joint. You guys this is never going to go away if you guys just keep offering all this food, because I will eat it. Coming up to the end of Heavensward, and I haven't done any rating. Should I try to get a group for binding coils or just jump right into Alexander? Even if you did get a group for coils, it would be an unsynced group. You destroy the fight in about 40 seconds, and it wouldn't matter. So just jump right into Alexander. In no way is doing coil gonna even remotely prepare you for actual rating unless you're willing to find groups that do it at minimum item level synced. That's the only way it's going to be a reliable sense of practice for you. So I turned my not my lighting down, but I turned my my chroma key down a little bit because my glasses were seeping through, and I've had this like radioactive just along this arm. Like if I turn it and it's got like this to the back, but I've just got this like radioactive glow on like the left side of my body right here. So looks a little weird, and I am aware of it. Anyway, question number 11. Hey Haps, it's only my second time posting, but the question I asked was before 4.0's announcement. It's just that maybe we could go help out Doma while we were heading to Alamigo. You said flat out, no, we're not going to Doma. I'll take my apology now. I apologize to you. Although technically we're not going to Doma, we're going to Authored, and Doma is in Authored, and we will try to liberate Doma. So we're not technically going... Alright, I lose. I apologize. Anyway, the question. While watching the live letter and talking on Reddit, I got into a discussion about the new healer skill Rescues. A lot of discussion about how it's going to be used for trolls. People would use it for targeted harassment within parties and companies. You have an option of kicking and leaving those people in terms of... what's it called? Okay, it's just about a knee-jerk reaction to the way the ability is going to work. It is very similar to the Shadewalker conversation that was had. Oh, I can't wait to Shadewalker my healer. I don't ever really see that. You know what I mean? Are they really doomsaying? I wouldn't say it's doomsaying. I think it's the instant, most hilarious way you could think to use that ability. Because talking about the way that people stand in AoEs deliberately in order to get more DPS out, or, you know, just messing with friends. Like, whenever you have something to mess with people, that's normally going to be the first funny thought people have. And it was the same with Shadewalker, like you said. In Shadewalker, it ended up turning out fine. Most people just wanted to get shit done to the point where it wasn't worth trolling people with that. To be fair, though, trolling with Rescue is a little bit more satisfying because you get to visually see things happen like that. It's not like Shadewalker where you're just kind of DPSing until it changes target. So, I mean, doomsaying is a bit extreme, But, I mean, it's going to happen at times, like, especially closer to launch. What we're suggesting is definitely going to happen at some point. Number 12. Yo, Happy. Quick question. Do we know what will happen to the Keeper's Hymns now that stat points are gone? You know, that's a good question. You have a stack of 99. I don't know. Maybe they just don't work anymore? Or maybe you can trade them back in to get your Grand Company seals refunded. Maybe. I don't know. But that would be my only guess, was that they would get refunded somehow. Number 13. Hey, why does this have a frowny face next to it? This question has a frowny face next to it. Feels bad, man. Hey, Mr. Haps, first time asker here. Love your content, by the way. With all the buffs to Paladin, namely being able to block magic, where do you think Dark Knight will be in the meta? We lost Scourge, a low blow potency procs, reprisal procs, a 50 potency reduction in Unleash, blood price. Keep in mind all the things you're saying, number-wise at least, like when you say 50 potency, you don't actually still know that that potency loss isn't there. I have a feeling that when all is said and done, the ultimate goal of Dark Knight is going to be the high DPS, less their gauge is easier to manage, but they still have mana and their gauge. So I don't want to say less resource intensive because of that. But I have a feeling one of their big things is going to be the insane use of their blood gauge and the way that that feels, which in turn, I mean, if you're literally going to be using Blackest Night on cooldown, if you're not using it on yourself as the main tank, you'll probably be using it on whoever is the main tank or somebody who's about to take a ton of damage because of the sheer amount of blood gauge you get. And it's on such a short cooldown, the raw raid mitigation you provide as a Dark Knight will likely be very high because of the Blackest Night shield. On top of that, the damage output from your blood gauge is expected to be, well, crazy. And I hope that it is, because I would like to see Dark Knight really fill that space in terms of their output and their protection, simultaneously with this rapid gaining and using of the blood gauge. We're at the end of page 1 here. Hello, Mr. Happy. First timer here, so I have a bonus of one NPC only gear set you want most. I don't have an NPC gear set that I want, so pass. Anyway, my question is a class one. If we were given access to a Beastmaster class, would you prefer the option to tame a more permanent pet or temporary charm? Temporary charm would be worthless in Final Fantasy XIV and will absolutely not be the way if Beastmaster ever happens. You probably wouldn't even tame a pet and then keep it permanently. You'd probably just get pets from your job quests. So I'm going to go ahead and say neither, but the more permanent pet is, I'd expect it to work very similar to the way Summoner and Scholar works and whatnot. And the same would be said for Puppet Master. It would probably work exactly the same. We're making good progress here. Hey yo, no bonus cause rules. Fair. So I main tanks minus warrior because it confuses me. Okay, and as someone who's played 4.0 tanks, do you feel that the so-called meta for tanks is now fairly shattered and we can finally have per-fight comps? I don't expect to have per-fight comps. No. I don't think there's any tank that specifically shines in a specific fight more so than another right now. I think Paladin shines pretty fucking bright right now with the sheer amount of mitigation for both the party and themselves. Like, they're going to be brick fucking walls to deal with as tanks, which is intended because they want to be the main tank. Like, they are sword and board, the tank fantasy incarnate. Whereas Warrior, I mean, they still have Inner Beast. They lost their path utility. They lost a lot of their self-sustain. Warrior, I feel like they're going to achieve the fantasy of it being, like, release the Inner Beast, like the name of the ability. But I don't know if that's actually going to pan out well for them in terms of content, but I can't imagine them being bad in it. And Dark Knight's the same deal because of the, like we mentioned earlier with the Blackest Night and the damage output potential that they'll probably adjust because the raw numbers on paper don't suggest it very well, to be pretty satisfying for when it comes to Dark Knight. I think you can run whatever for whatever, but I think Paladins are going to rise to the same prominence Warrior did if their numbers haven't changed much or if any of the mechanics haven't changed much since we actually last saw them. Number 16. Hey, Mr. Happy, have a bonus of a year developing with the 14. I don't want to fucking spend a year developing 14. Fuck that. Listen, I got this career to deal with. If you giving me a year on the dev team is not a gift. That is a death sentence for me, pretty much. So, and I don't qualify, technically. So, that wouldn't work out very well for them. My question is, does Red Mage have a way to generate normal mana? I get this question a lot, so if I see this question again, we'll skip over it. I remember there being something said about the impact procs having something to do with MP. I can't say for certain, because I don't remember, but somebody said there was something or some sort of clarification in like the Japanese tooltips about getting MP back. I don't remember it, so I couldn't tell you, unfortunately. I just remember hearing something about the impact procs. Number 17. Hello, Mr. Happy. Sorry for the long question. Tried to shorten it, but I feel like having a background was needed. Did you at least give me... Okay, no, actually, this isn't that long. I have a question about being a fan of playing a lot of jobs, but I've always found annoying that even with the systems they have in place that allow you to level up another job, of having to make a new character, you never have multiple jobs with the latest gear until months, and I feel it truly makes the fact that you can level up multiple jobs on one character useless. In other MMOs, you have to create a new character, play a different class, but at least you'd be able to get any character with the latest gear as long as you put in the time. So if it took a month to get max gear on one character, I could get it on another one as long as you put in that time. I'm just annoyed that there's no way to do the same in 14 unless you make a new character, cap out your tombstones, caps, which sucks because I'd rather just be able to get a set of gear for any job without having to wait 2 to 3 months to get 2 jobs for the new gear. So my big thing with this is this is only a problem if you don't raid. Yes, raids still have weekly lockouts and you're still talking about, you know, competing with gear for 7 other people, but it speeds up the process a lot. And really that endgame gearing is kind of designed to move faster when you're able to put forth the effort to all of the content. You're able to get the loot that actually drops, especially with the way they've talked about restructuring the way loot is rewarded in raids. On top of that, you then get the extra items that you can spend every few weeks to get some extra items. Then you're still collecting tombstones the entire time. And then in the odd-numbered patches, you're picking up gear left and right, because why the fuck not? It's just super available at this point. So, no, well, let me get to the actual question. Do you think at any point in time it'll change this? No, because then you have people like me who will max fucking everything in a month and have nothing to do because we've literally maxed everything. If you're going to do that, you literally need to remove all the loot restrictions on the raids as well, because you can't have the tombstones be completely unlocked and be able to gear everything like that. If anything, I wouldn't be too surprised to see that if they unlocked raid lockouts for multiple roles, like let's say you can get loot once per month for each, or once per week, like per role, or you could run it and obtain loot on it once per role. But even then that creates complications regarding the rate at which you progress and what gear are you actually locked into getting, etc., etc. So there's other systems that need to be in place for something like that to work. So no, I think I don't see that changing anytime soon. They don't want you getting all that gear. It's a time gate, because that's just kind of how modern MMOs draw people in to play week by week and to keep their subs going longer. And 2, because it requires too many alterations on the way other content is done. And I don't see that major alteration happening without significantly lowering the probability of getting armor per piece of content done. Like, drop rate's got to be way down, amount of tombstones you get got to go way down, so that if you do want to invest that time, you're really investing that time, and then that punishes the people who can't invest the time. So yeah, I think there's too many issues that come up with unlocking things like that to make it more prominent without a lot of really heavy gates in place. On that note, number 18. Hey, Mr. Happy, I was going to ask questions last week, but held off due to the NDA expiring before you had started the weekly Q&A recording. Those questions being about Dark Knight, Dragoon, Red Mage, and Samurai, and I knew you were going to do a video on them the moment they were out. So you answered most of my questions, except Dragoon, and FS had my back on that one. On to the questions. I'll only be taking the first one because of the number we have. That I had to change because of the official trailer came out and more or less answered the original one, getting kind of hard to come up with good questions. Are any hard mode dungeons you're looking forward to the possibility in 4.x? Never Reap. Never Reap will return. I can feel it. I don't know how, but I can feel it. On that note, hey Haps, no bonus, but here's the cookie. I have heard that it was confirmed that Red Mage was unlocked and rolled out. So these haven't been confirmed. From what I remember, I feel like during a live letter, they said like an area that they would be unlocked. But I think they ultimately just said it would be one of the starting 3 cities, and people kind of just put that together, and then it kind of spread as fact, but it was actually rumor the whole time. So that, yeah, that information is not confirmed, but it will be in a Realm Reborn area. You don't need to be in like Kugane or Alamigo to get the new jobs. It will be in a Realm Reborn area that's accessible before you even get to Ishgard, so don't need to worry about your story progression on that front. All right, we're like 2/5 done. Howdy, Mr. Happy. First-time asker, relatively new watcher of your content. As a bonus, if you ever see yourself in Seattle area, PAX West, I'll gladly cook you some Japanese curry. Although I'm super busy at PAX West, so I doubt I'd be able to make it all the way. Spoiler for Haydn. I still love that this says Haydn. Hold on, scroll back up. I love that this still says Haydn instead of hidden. We've never fixed this on our forums. I love it. Anyway, I'll start with the question first. What will be my options for leveling up jobs after the first one in Stormblood? I'll give you it straight up because I don't even need a precursor for that one. Very simple. You'll have dungeons and you'll have fates. You'll probably have leave quests too, but honestly I don't imagine leave quests being that efficient. Palace of the Dead likely won't work very well after level 60. So fates, dungeons, roulettes, beast tribes I don't think will be available till later, but later on it'll be beast tribes, like probably after 4.1. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm thinking those might be the options. I'm trying to think if there would be something else. PvP is an option, actually. That works. I think of always like PvP 30 to 60. But yeah, PvP is an option for 60 to 70. That's the one that I was definitely forgetting about. Yeah, I think those are all the options, though. PvP was definitely the option I was forgetting when I was trying to think of them right there. Number 21. Hi, Mr. Happy. I was going to ask you some questions for last Q&A, but held off. Glad I did. Hope you're doing well. I am. Less than a week to go for Stormblood, and it's great because my early access starts at 7 p.m., so no need to take the day off work. Anyway, recent subscriber, first-time poster, is going to give you a bonus, a pack of Tim Tams. You're from... Okay, all right. Instead, you'll give me a drop bear minion. All right. So a couple of questions. I can only take the first one because of the sheer number. I see myself more as a casual player, even though I log in almost every day. I tend to prefer story over raiding, but raiding and dungeons seem to be the only way to get tomestones to be able to get to the higher item level. For example, last few weeks I've been maxing out scriptures to get the 260 gear, and then running the 24-mans to upgrade 270. The grind is tiring, especially for someone like me with various health and sleep issues. There's a possibility Square Enix will add an alternative method. No matter what, if they do add an alternative method for... getting into higher item levels, which I don't think everyone's necessarily opposed to. People would like a variety of content to gear up. It will not be less time consuming. That much I will tell you, which seems to be the concern here. The grind is tiring, meaning that it's a little bit too time consuming, and that's just kind of MMOs in a nutshell. If you're going to have something that's not time gated, it needs to take longer for it to grind. And if you are going to have something that's time gated, then the reward satisfaction should be immediate. So like, for example, when you clear a raid, the loot drops, you know, and then you'll wait till next week to do it again, but at least you saw that loot. The loot was guaranteed. You're going to get these pieces, these 2 pieces out of this pool of loot. And it's guaranteed. So no matter what, even if they do, I don't think it'll necessarily address the concern that you're saying here, where the grind being too tiring. Because I think if anything, the more ways to do it, the more tiring it'll be. Because honestly, the less likely it is to have a set of guaranteed rewards that'll get you to where you want to be faster. 22, Mr. Happy Senpai. 2 things before the questions. 1, you look like a friend of mine from college, which I noticed after a few videos. I've actually met a few of my old college friends through Final Fantasy XIV and through like the channel and everything. One time I was talking about that friend and he was actually watching the stream and I didn't know he watched my stream. So I was like, what? And then I saw him at FanFest. We used to go to our gaming classes together. We have some stories about that. Have a first time bonus of a removal of any dungeon trial of your choice. Well, I said Never Reap earlier. I don't mind Never Reap that much, so get rid of a dungeon or trial? I don't know. I like watching people suffer in Orenvale. I don't think I want to get rid of any dungeon. With the new gauges and consolidation of skills on skill bars, what do you think might be the optimal way to place things? This is going to change person to person. There's no way I could tell you. I like to like migrate everything towards the center of my screen, so it looks kind of like a clusterfuck, but it makes it so that no matter what, even if I were to somehow like fall victim to like to tunnel vision, everything's in the tunnel. That's my strategy to get out of tunnel vision. It's move things like towards the middle outer ring of the screen, and that's like the tunnel. So you're looking through the tunnel, right? But you're in the tunnel, like if half of something is in the tunnel, then your tunnel vision expands because you want to see the whole thing. So that's just my way of thinking about it, but it's very different. I know some people that are going to put that gauge like at the very top right of the screen. They're going to drop it right above their like their hotbar, like towards the bottom middle. There's a bunch of places you could realistically put them, but you just got to feel around and figure out which one works for you. 23. Hey, Happy or Kinky? Why? If you cannot say Perseus, Darth is fine. Oh, I don't usually say names unless somebody tells me to. Long-time viewer, first-time asker, so your bonus is that your retainer are 70 along with your retainer skill. Listen, if you can level my retainers, that would be great, especially with all the HQ variants and stuff like that. 10,000 ventures. That's taking up all the space my retainers have. Damn it. Anyway, let's see. So many questions to the disciples of Warrior and Magic. Do you see crafting or gathering changing much? No. No, I just don't. We know that they're going to buff specialist abilities and that specialists will still be a thing. We know about spearfishing and the other underwater gathering tools, but no, I don't know. I don't see much changing. I don't see much to change. It wasn't like in dire need of a revamp like the kind of like the skill system was for combat. So no, I just don't see it changing much. Next one. Hey there, just wondering if you got a chance to interview Yoshida at the Media Tour and if you plan on uploading it to YouTube. Laugh my ass off. You just uploaded it. Hey. On that note, that was a quick one. Hey, Happy, not a first-time asker, so you get a bonus anyway. Your very own Kinky Gauge. Damn it! This might as well be 2 questions in a row, because the last one didn't even count as a question. I'm just here to bring the hype up, man. Hype! Yeah! Are you hyped? Seriously, though, before Heaven's Word release, I feel like we didn't have as much information about the expansion as we have now. Really? I feel like we had about the same. Like, Stormblood, the thing is, everything we know about Stormblood isn't necessarily for 4.0. Like, we know there's a new Deep Dungeon. Great. We don't know when it is. We know there's a brand new content in 4.2. Great. We don't know what it is. 4.1. We don't know. It's the new PvP. We don't know how Eureka's going to work. We don't know this. We don't know that. It's very similar to Heavensward because we knew the basis of things, but we still didn't know how, like, Diadem was going to work. We didn't know about Lords of Verminion yet. And we just didn't, and we didn't know, I felt like we were still just missing information. They want a lot of things to be a surprise. I do think that the way that information was paced going into Stormblood was way better, though. On top of all the advertisements, like we mentioned earlier, I feel like they did a better job of making it so it doesn't feel like it's been a huge wait for me. You know, I feel like, hey, it's 5 days away, and you know what? I can wait those 5 days because I've waited all this time and it went so fast anyway. So I think they just did a better job of pacing getting towards Stormblood than they did for Heavensward. Information-wise, though, I think it's very similar. 26. Hello, Mr. Happy. First timer here, so I have a bonus of Chef Gordon Ramsay personally preparing meals for you for the first week of Stormblood. Man, that would be a fucking front page story in the news right there. Chef Gordon Ramsay cooks for Fat Nerd for a week, so he doesn't have to. Anyway, now on to the question. I was talking with my friends who play this game with me, and we're discussing how Square Enix seems to have issues with healer balance. Oh yeah. As they seem to continually make adjustments at a real overall direction, or so it seems. We thought the healers would be more balanced if the healers were required to solo heal, as they wouldn't need to be balanced in a way that works with other healers. Also, because most content doesn't seem to require more than one healer, as the other healer seems to be a glorified DPS anyway. So in raid content designed around 5 DPS, 1 healer, 2 tanks, or 6 DPS, 1 healer, 1 tank. What are your thoughts on the viability of this? No. So a lot of it comes down to the individual healers bring just enough tools that when they do need to use a global cooldown or an off global cooldown on something that's healing or defensive, they have it, and it's a powerful utility or skill to have. Well, the thing is right now is content that's on the difficulty of like the creator or dungeons isn't demanding enough on healing itself. I think if you were going to tackle the concern with healer balance, I think reducing it down to a 1 healer comp would make things way worse, because then it's not going to be a matter of which 2 of the 3 healers is most meta. It would be a question of which 1 of the 3 healers is most meta, and then the forum posts double. And we've already seen what it's like with White Mage. We saw what it was like with Astro back when it first launched. We don't want that. We don't need twice as many of those posts. We don't need twice as many of the videos that of me making talking about White Mage being shit. We don't need twice as many of any of that. So no, I don't think that would help any of the issues at all. Number 27. Hey, Haps. First time asker, so I have a bonus of a samurai cape for use in 14. I don't know that I would want a cape on a samurai. No. Anyway, started playing 14 and 3.4, so I wasn't around for the launch of Heavensward. Now I'll be here for expansion launch. I'm worried about story spoilers. How are spoilers around the launch of Heavensward? Do people just go shouting story spoilers in-game or on the forums? The forums, no. However, in-game, I don't remember a lot of it. Maybe some in Idleshire. The thing is, by the time you're in Idleshire, the only other people who can see what's happening in Idleshire are people who made it that far into the story. So you're really only talking about the very latter half, and most people, I don't remember doing that. I even go as far as to skip all the story cutscenes, so I usually get spoiled just because my chat's like, oh, you made it this far? Let me ask you what you thought of said scenario. Because I skip them all just so I can stream the whole thing so people don't have to worry about spoilers. Willing to give up my experience so that way the stream and the YouTube channel can benefit from it a little bit more. But I don't remember having many issues about that, no. Number 28. Hey, Haps. First time here, so I have a bonus. Wind up puppet to hold you over till Puppet Master. We already have puppets in the game, the mammoths, so we're good. Is there anything that isn't being brought to the game of Stormblood that you really wish was? No, not really. Yeah, no, I got nothing. I got nothing. I just don't have an answer for it. No, there's nothing that I can think of that isn't there that I want to be there, other than the Super Savage thing, which is going to be there. It'll just be there at 4.1 instead of right at launch. Number 29. Hey, Hap, newish viewer here. I thought it said Jewish viewer here. I was like, I don't need that information, but you're free. You know, I'm actually accepted by the synagogue. It's weird. My mother's... Okay, we don't need to do this conversation. Anyway, first time asker, so I have a bonus of being able to use one puppet master. What's with all the Puppet Master stuff? Come on now. So 2 questions if that's okay. First, after watching your video of the Yoshi P interview and him insisting, oh no, the healer DPS question, on stating that the team doesn't expect healers to have to DPS, do you expect fights in the future to be more heal intensive so there's less time to do so? Or was he trying to placate newer players into healing more? He's literally just saying, do whatever the fuck you want. We don't expect this of you. He doesn't care how you play. He just knows how they, you know, design things. So it's do whatever you want. I mean, I would personally like fights to be more healer intensive, not so they don't have time to DPS, but so these tools that they're introducing see a lot more use. And it's not about using those tools to heal less. It's about using those tools in conjunction with your healing in order to get through certain things, which I find is a more interesting use of abilities as opposed to the way that they're kind of used now, where it's like, all right, Tank Buster, this, you know, oh, AoE, this. I'd rather see it complement the healing more and less about getting you back to a point where you have to do less healing. So that's it. But he just wants you to do whatever the fuck you want to do, and he's just telling you what their thought on it is. All right, number 30. Hi, Mr. Happy. First-time askers. Here's a bonus of all your favorite foods. I've been keeping up on a lot of Stormblood information videos. I'm sure I've missed this, so I figured I'd ask. Has anything been said about when we get to fly? Ether currents. That was the next part of your question. Ether currents. Yes, you'll have to collect ether currents. So please look forward to it. All right, number 31. Hey, Mr. Happy. Just a quick PvP question and a Paladin question. I hope it's a PvP question I can answer, but I'm only going to take the first one. So let's see which one you asked. When you apply debuffs like physical down or vulnerability up on crystals and frontlines, does the damage taken increase? You know, I actually don't know that. I'm sure there's some PvP expert who knows that. I have no idea. I've always wondered that. I trick attack it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm hitting for more. But there's like fucking 1 million people here. Are we all hitting it for more? Shit! I don't know. Maybe someone in my chat knows. I have no idea. I don't think I've ever gone out of my way to test the way it affects you or your opponents or however it works in PvP. But that is a good question, and I would like the answer to that as much as you would. All right, number 32. Hello, Mr. Happy. 8 days to early access. Here are my cues. You only had one. Why did... All right, never mind. With the Stormblood PvP news, playing on PC, how would PvP be better played? With controller, a keyboard, or mouse? However, it's only like 11, 12 buttons at this point, so either one is fine. You have 16 buttons on the cross hotbar, and I mean for keyboard and mouse, 16 buttons. 12 buttons is like nothing. I can do that with one hand practically. So it doesn't matter. Whichever one you're better at, that's the one. Number 33. Hey, Mr. Happy. First time askers have a bonus stack of HQ Tinker's Calm to help you cap out decent quick. Yes. Good. My question today is about boss encounter design in 14. With the short times between content patches, the dev team obviously puts out a ton of work. It seems that almost every single boss fight comes down to a single scripted encounter. Do you think we'll see variable encounters? So I'm going to assume... Okay, yeah, I was about to make an example too, but I'll let you. The Opera event in Karazhan and the third boss of Magister's Terrace. Yeah, so basically where it's one of multiple bosses that could occur, and it's not a single one. So those are really fun for the sake of just kind of... not theory crafting, there's a word I'm looking for. Kind of the anticipation of which boss you'll get. After that, though, there's a bit of a problem with the amount of resources that goes into said boss and how difficult you want to make said boss versus the odds of getting the boss. So if you have like a 33% chance of seeing a boss and you go week after week after week after week and you just never get that 33%, you just never see that boss, it's almost kind of disappointing to know that you don't get to experience said boss just because RNG said, you never pulled this boss. That's it. I mean, Violet Hold was another thing that was the same other than the final boss itself. So it has its pros and its cons, so it really is a question of, do I like that kind of style? I'm not so against it, but I can tell you right now, for me, it personally gets frustrating when they design a boss and I just don't get to see it because of RNG over and over again. That just personally frustrates me, but I think that it can work well in certain scenarios just to kind of add more realism to the world, that it's not the same every time, in a sense. But it's pros and cons. You know, it's up to the individual. As for the answer, do I think they'll do it? No, I think they'll always want something that's pretty set in stone in terms of what their player base actually gets to experience. Number 34. Hey, Happy. Long time, no post. So because of my absence, how about I ask the devs to add the Senior Sabotenders to the game? You like him, right? They are adding it to the game in 4 point. I don't understand. I'm assuming you mean right now, but I don't understand. Anyway, on to my question. It might seem long, so read the whole thing off camera and give the answer. I mean, I can't do it off camera. I do this live. They can't do it off camera. It would just mean off editing. Do you have a TLDR at the bottom? Yes, you do. No healers are happy with the change of Square Enix's me. I should have known it was going to be a healer question. Where White Mage is broken, Astro got fixed where fixing wasn't needed. Scholars caught in the middle and not getting its issues addressed. Do you think Square Enix will address Scholar issues? Bane nerf, dot removal, shield niche being lost, lackluster traits, its overall tactical gameplay almost gone. I don't know, man. Scholars not only survived all of that for a while now, but it's also been a pretty dominant force. The only reason Astro completely took over as like a god tier healer was because they overtuned it. So for Scholar, it's like, yeah, does doing less AoE damage suck? Okay, yeah, it does. But I don't think that they've necessarily lost much of anything. Their main thing was the shields and the pet. The shields are still strong. The pet is still a powerful ally. In fact, that's being put more emphasis on with the new gauge that they have. As for lackluster traits, I do think the Aetherflow trait's kind of shit. I hope that gets changed before we actually get to the expansion, but I don't think they actually have issues. I think it's just like, it would be cool if thing worked like A or thing worked like B. But as an actual issue, I don't think Scholar actually has one. I just think the only thing throwing any sort of wrench into everything is the balance being ridiculous. Number 35. Hey, yo, Mr. Happy. Long-time lurker, first-time asker. For you, a bonus of 30 times acceleration on whatever anima system they decide to use for Stormblood. As much as I like that, only if it counts for all of my weapons. Because then I'll do more than one. But if it's only for the first one, then that's... no, I don't mind if that takes a while longer. I've been playing... wow, it's a big space right here. I've been playing 14 for about 3 years now. The time I've played, I've only ever played one job. I've leveled 2 others through Heavensward, but don't really touch them. Since my debut as a Paladin in Realm Reborn, I haven't really cared about playing anything else other than leveling Dark Knight for Cecil reasons and White Mage for Stoneskin reasons. So my question is, do you think it's worth me to invest my time in other classes after I get my Paladin going in Stormblood, or should I stay in my hermited ways and continue about only as if I've ever only played Paladin? That's, honestly, you shouldn't be asking me how you should enjoy the game. That's my honest opinion. If you decide, hey, I don't know why I did that. If you decide that you have the most fun playing Paladin and when you level other jobs you just don't feel that magic, then don't. You don't even need to worry about the Stoneskin thing anymore because you don't have the subclass aspect of the game anymore. You just have the role abilities. So, I mean, yeah, I can't tell you how to enjoy your game, man. I mean, do I think that you should maybe try playing other jobs occasionally? Yeah, sometimes you hit a job that you just love just as much as the first one, and then you play them both whenever you feel like it. But you don't need to do that, you know? There's nothing about that that's more right than the way you want to do it. If you like Paladin, you're good at Paladin, play Paladin. That's all I gotta say. Number 36. Oi, oi, Mr. Happy. First time asker, so take this bonus of 50 of the best HQ recipes in Stormblood. I got 2 pretty concerning questions that I really wanted your opinion on, talking about skill removals. Question 1 will be the only one I take. Do you think the removal changes, for example, they expected DPS to do X amount of damage, which they have even less after Stormblood, or do you think they downskill certain dungeon trials to compensate for the DPS? I think that ultimately you're going to see about the same balance for all of the old content, because that seems to be where the question is going. Do you think they're rebalancing old content? I don't think they really need to all that much, and I don't think the scale of those dungeons are going to change, because it's all casual content anyway. None of that content, you're going to go back and be like, well, because of my potency loss, I guess I can't do A12 Savage, or because of my potency loss, you know, after the patch, guess I can't do Tamtara, you know. That's not going to change, you know. They're not drastic enough change to disallow you to do the old fights. And the new formulas are from 61 up, minus a few of the changes to the way that some things changed before 60, but those aren't really that significant because the content around it also isn't significant. So no, I don't think that there's much recalculation that needs to be done there. Maybe some, but not a whole lot. Alright, number 37. Hey Haps, long-time listener, first-time poster, I have an exclusive Blitzball mount. I know how much you want Blitzball in the game. I'm gonna stab you. Anyway, I was curious on your thoughts expanding the companion element. Honestly, at this point, I don't even care about the companion element, dude. Like, that Chocobo is a piece of shit. He's dumb. He's literally bird brain, a horse bird brain. Originally, we were supposed to get a Magitech companion. That never happened, and I don't remember if any of the interviews actually gave us definitive answers recently, but honestly, I'll look forward to Squadrons, whatever that ends up bringing. Probably not much, because it's probably just going to be doing a few of the lower-level dungeons with your Squadron, but I'll look towards that, and I honestly don't care about the bird brain of a Chocobo that I have. 38. Hey, Happy, so I started drinking a little of that Ver Kool-Aid. I hate you so much. I'm unsure what I want to do going into Stormblood. Been grinding Palace of the Dead. Don't know what to do with my time. Want to try Red Mage. Kind of stuck if I should power level the job to 60, just take it in Stormblood, or just use one of my 60s. This is just like the other question. I like literally can't tell you how you should play the game. You gotta determine these things for yourself. I can't be the determining factor. Why not both? Why not just do Red Mage to 60, see if you like it, and then do another. If you don't, just go back to one of the other jobs to 70. You know, that's one way to do it. There's a million ways to go about this. I literally can't tell you how you're going to enjoy the game because I don't know you. I don't know you well enough to make that decision, and I'm not you. So this is a decision you really got to make for yourself. 39. Hey, Haps. Reggie here. What's up? Question 1, only one I'll take. Let's say for whatever reason 14 was supposed to end with 3.55. There's no new expansions planned. What would be the next thing you would do to continue making content? I just pick another game. Like, I don't know which game it would be off the top of my head because that's a super hyperbolic, example that we already know isn't true. So I don't like have a thought. But I just move to another game pretty much, or move to other games in general. I'd probably expand a little bit more and do less RPGs and more other stuff. But I'd probably be playing another MMO regardless. Just I don't know which one. 40. We're moving through. Greetings, human who knows things. I don't know anything. I offer a bonus of in-game food that you can really taste and gives a larger EXP bonus. Does it give me EXP bonus in real life? Because if not, I don't know if I need it. Let's see. Several jobs have crowd control abilities, and overall access to them across roles seems to be expanding, something I've noticed. How much would you think or hope that needing them for use on bosses or dungeon mechanics are going to become necessary? They were more necessary back in the day, and they moved away from doing that a lot. They're still useful on occasion, but for the most part, newer fights just don't utilize those things. So I would be okay with them introducing those being more useful, especially knockbacks, because it feels like knockbacks are way more prominent in Stormblood's sort of kit, if those things actually end up going through. So I'm cool with the idea. I like the idea of using CC more. I don't expect it to ever get to a point where you need to like CC in dungeons again, like sleep the mobs. No, I don't think that'll happen. But in raids, I wouldn't be surprised. 41, not a first-time poster, but it's been a long time, so I have a tiny violin playing Galkin, a tiny violin playing Galkin, I'm assuming you mean Galka, playing the Stormblood theme as a returner bonus. TLDR, in your opinion, for someone who never played it through, is it worth going back and playing through 11 for the story, or should they wait for the mobile apps? So I don't know if this question came after I posted my video. Looking at the date, it didn't because I posted it yesterday. But I put out a video on this. My idea is you need to be very willing to overcome some archaic systems in order to get into Final Fantasy XI at all. You need to be willing to have a wiki page up on the other side. You need to be willing to sit there and read all of the stories because there's no voice acting. You need to be very, very willing to learn things and to just go out of your comfort zone if you're going to play 11 again. The mobile version is likely going to be better, but if you can overcome a few hurdles, I'd say at least going and playing the story for 11 is a well enough worthwhile thing. Having now finished Rhapsodies of Vana'diel, that was one of my favorite stories of any Final Fantasy game, single player or MMO. Just the way that it culminated, it was honestly, I almost teared up right at the end. And if I wasn't streaming, I probably would have teared up more, but I put on my man face for it. It was beautiful, and I would highly recommend that if you can overcome those archaic systems, I'd say that just for the story, it's worth it. All right, 42. How would you want to see relic? Nice hello, by the way. Would you want to see relic weapons or maybe a relic piece of armor that gives you an ability or weapon skill like 11 has? I have a feeling that because of the 11 video, I'm going to see quite a few 11 questions here. No, not really. I wasn't a fan of it in 11. I'm not a fan of it in anything else when a piece of armor gives you access to a skill. I'm not a fan of it. Like, the closest thing you could get me to do is something like trinkets in WoW, which I don't even know if they have on uses anymore because I haven't played in a while. But, like, that's about it. That's about the closest you can get is, like, something that when you use it, it provides an effect. But even that's still kind of like, for me. I'm just not a big fan of equipment providing on-use abilities in an MMO. It's just not my bag. 43. Hey, Mr. Happy, just a question for the start of Stormblood. Do you have any leveling advice for 50 to 60? So actually, I laughed because I was just going to say Palace of the Dead. But if Fates get a good enough change, I wouldn't be surprised to see Fates very well occupied from 50 to 60, especially if this new mechanic they're talking about for Fates ends up being something that provides a significant enough increase. I wouldn't be surprised to see it as to see the Fates filling the zones again and see people running around and leveling that way. But if not, it's probably going to be Palace of the Dead. Maybe roulettes if you're looking to shake up the monotony a little bit. But those are about it. All right, 44. Yo, Hapster, what's Guanin? What? I don't know if I even want to read the rest of this anymore. First time asker, so I have an extremely well-deserved 8 hours undisturbed sleep. You, sir, are a saint. Or madam. My question is, have you heard about the event Square Enix is pushing out in Europe called The Night Before the Storm? I remember hearing something about that. And no, I've never attended anything like that. I don't actually know what it is, but I remember seeing it. I mean, obviously Night Before the Storm would mean it would be the night before Stormblood launches, so... Yeah, I know, I'm unfamiliar, and I've never been to an event like that, since that's the other part of the question. 45, I think there's 10 questions after this. Hey, Happy, thanks for all the great videos you've done so for the last years. Thank you for watching them. They have been a great help. Keep up the good work. Since I'm a first-time asker, I have a free cap stack of the newest tombstone. Yeah. So to my question, if you can answer, it's about Red Mage. Does dual cast instant cast any spell in the Red Mage kit, or is it just certain ones? I know where this is going, and yes, dual cast will instant cast any spell in the kit. That includes your raise, that includes your cure, that includes the DPS abilities that you have. So while it's definitely not going to be MP effective to have a Red Mage raising, it's there. You do have the option of using a dual cast proc on a res should the scenario necessitate it. It's just going to destroy your MP pool without enough support. So you may want to consider whether or not you really want to go about burning it on a triple raise. Number 46. Hey, Haps. First time asker, semi-short time viewer. As a bonus, man, I'm not good at this stuff. How about a deep dish authentic... Did you just try to offer me a pizza casserole, aka a Chicago-style pizza? You know what? No. I don't want it. You can keep your bonus. Anyway, here we go. I have played 14 since 1.0, stopped about 6 months from the end, and Warcraft since vanilla. Every single new expansion for that game, my wife and I play. We take our time, we enjoy the story to get full immersion. We are big-time lore fiends. On the flip side, we're both insane performance freaks. I'm talking no matter the meta, we choose what class we want to play and make them work at the maximum, if at all possible. We don't do it as hardcore, just kind of how we enjoy playing. I'm talking notebooks, tons of data. All right, I'm trying to find the question here. Let's see. I just mean the amount of work needed to get. Once we finish the story, we spend a lot of time. Part of the fun is understanding and mastering the class. Okay, so after the story is done, we will end up bored if it is so simple. Not that it's super difficult now. Thoughts? So you're concerned that the jobs are going to be watered down to the point where they're oversimplified and it's not worth min-maxing and going out of your way of doing that. Okay, I don't think you're going to have that problem. I think that depending on the final changes that we end up getting with the preliminary patch notes, I have a feeling that it's going to be pretty intense min-maxing the gauge usage on some of those jobs. So much so to the point where, while it definitely will feel like the floor was brought up, I don't think the ceiling itself will be brought down on many jobs. Some jobs I think will probably be a little bit easier than they were before, but some jobs I think are going to be, you know, pretty complicated to min-max everything to the most effective manner, especially Samurai. Samurai is insane with the amount of possibilities you have in terms of the way you use your Sens and Kenki and all that other stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that ends up panning out. Number 47. Hey, Mr. Happy. Recently gotten to 14. Been playing a few months now. I'm very excited. This is my first time doing this, so I need a bonus then. The joy of enjoying a game for the first time again. Your choice. Shit. I don't know what game I would want to use that on. I'll reserve that for later. My question is, what's going to happen to scriptures and lore? Will they be taken out? And if so, how will we get Shire weapons? So, Tomestones of Poetics will completely replace all of the level 50 and 60 Tomestones and will be used on all of the level 50 and 60 Tomestone items going into Stormblood. Now, the other question then follows up, since I know this comes next. Will you be able to trade the current Tomestones for Poetics? I'd have to imagine that you can, and that by like 4.1 or 4.2, they'll push them out of the game entirely. That being said, I'd hope it would have a more automatic system, but that would put some Tomestones to waste, so probably not. Just expect you to be able to trade the current ones for Poetics, and for Poetics to cover the level 50 to 60, all of those items, as opposed to what they do now. Number 48. Hello, 5 days remaining Stormblood Early Access. Thank you for considering the people who watch us on Sundays and Mondays. Do you agree that players shouldn't receive a weakness debuff when they're resurrected out of combat? No, you know what? That makes sense. Because the weakness, I like it as an in-combat thing, because it helps discourage, you know, dying or suiciding people to mechanics. But you're right, when you're out of combat, out of the world, it doesn't really make sense to have that weakness. It's just kind of arbitrarily designed that way because that's what resurrecting does. So, yeah, you know, yeah, I agree. It does. I'm cool with that. Get rid of it out of combat. It doesn't serve a purpose other than, you know, making you weaker if you want to fight in the next 2 minutes, which is like, I don't know. Just, yeah, I'm cool with getting rid of that. Number 49. Hey, Mr. Happy. Just a short and quick question. Let's see. Will they increase the count of your friends and link shells? So I think they said they would be increasing that count because I'm capped at 200 all the fucking time. I'd have to imagine when we get the cross-server friends list that we'd have to have more space because, I mean, I'm screwed. No matter what, my friends list will always be full because people just add me whenever they want. And I'm just like, all right. It's like when you get that friend request on like Facebook back in the day and you're like, shit. I guess, yeah, fuck it. I'll just press yes, whatever. And then you realize you got way too many people on your fucking friends list and you just don't care about 90% of them. That's not true that's not true entirely in Final Fantasy 14, but you know, I don't talk to 90% of those people that are on my friends list. So yeah, I guess it does kind of apply in some way. Yeah, I'd have to imagine we'd get more space, but I'm fucked regardless, so. Alright, number 50. Hey, Mr. Happy. Greetings from Germany, and thanks for the awesome weekly content. So my question is, if either missed it or nothing was said about the time we could start downloading the expansion. I don't think I had this question last week. I'd have to imagine it's within 12 hours of the patch ending, so by like 2 p.m. Pacific on Thursday. But it's not going to be like days in advance. It's going to be after the servers are down during the maintenance, so probably about halfway through. Hey, Haps. I gift thee a wonderful, peaceful sleep. Wow, yo, you guys who are giving me sleep are awesome. I haven't seen a 15 video in a while. Have they not added anything? So the only thing 15's been adding are these I don't even know, these timed quests. The timed quests at first were okay. Then they did the fishing one, and like the rules for generating points are just ridiculous to the point where I have no interest in generating content on those timed quests. So the only thing we have that I have to do a video on now is the additions coming in the June update, which is episode Prompto, which is the off-roading with the off-road car. And there was one other thing that has slipped my mind. But yeah, there just hasn't been anything to produce content on for 15, so I haven't. I had to skip a few questions here, so we actually moved along to the last couple of questions a little quicker. Good day, Mr. Happy. Very quick question. Do you by chance know if Shasta will be doing Ninja Stormblood guides? Have a good day and continue with success. I don't even know if Shasta plays right now. I don't know if he or she is coming back for the expansion, so I can't say definitively because I'm not them. But there's going to be plenty of people who do Ninja guides, so if Shasta doesn't do it, I'm sure somebody else will. All right, and this is the last question on the forums. This is a lot of questions, and I want to thank you and apologize in regards to all of these. In any case, time to add mine to the pile. I'll apologize again since it's a bunch of related questions. You'll see what I mean. Since healer DPS issue never seems to go away, I'm thinking about some things that don't seem to be talked about. Maybe they are, but not in this fashion. One of them is about the design of the game, or I'll wait until Stormblood releases. Proponents of healer DPS claim that not DPSing is a sign of laziness, lack of skill, or inexperience. They point as to how much actual healing is needed in easier content like dungeons and for the last two shown in parse logs and whatnot. On the opposite coin, those who feel that healers should only focus on healing the party argue that if the party needs healer DPS, that the actual DPS are failing their job, and thus are either lazy, unskilled, or inexperienced. In the words of our dear producer is their argument, healer DPS is not put into account when designing content. I will admit that I am a healer, and I love DPSing. As such, when the anti-DPS group brings up the argument, it makes me angry at their arrogance. Since from my point of view, once you bring up that argument, you are 100% in the lazy category at the very least. Do you think the same heal-only people think the same of people like me when we ask for some damage during safe periods? Is anyone being lazy here? Is this related to why parsers aren't officially recognized? Is it fine for your party to need a bit of healer DPS to not wipe at 1% in harder content? And I know you should be asked us to not harass healers who only want to heal, but do you think that people allowed to be more selective in party finder content? Okay. So technically it's all one question with a bunch of individual components. Ultimately, you're of the thought that no matter what, if you say as a healer that the DPS asking you to DPS are just being lazy and not outputting enough, that they're being lazy. And then DPS who say the healer doesn't want to DPS say they're being lazy. And then apparently no one gives a fuck about the tank because you didn't even bring that up in this conversation, but I'm sure the conversation could be skewed in that direction as well. So I just think that it comes down to the way the game is designed does not demand healer DPS unless you're trying to complete content well below the item level required to actually do it, which is generally not a problem in most content because most content you have to hit the minimum item level without a full pre-made group regardless. So if you're entering and the majority of people are below that item level for something like Savage when you're doing it in the raid finder and it bypasses the item level, if you're well below what that raid finder is telling you should be having, then yeah, you should definitely consider having healer DPS because you're so much below it that even if the DPS play perfectly, there's a good chance you won't actually complete it. Now, if you're meeting these minimum item level checks, like let's say you need, I don't know. You need what, 2? I don't even know some of the minimum item level shit. I know some of them from like back in the day, but I don't know. You have a dungeon that's item level 230, and everyone in there is 230. Healers don't need the DPS. That's the thing. If you're in a raid, let's say the raid requires 255, but you entered and you're full I-240. Yeah, you should probably have healers that are willing to DPS, but at that point, you should be tailoring your groups to the people who have a similar-minded goal. The only thing is healers in 4-man content, argument goes both ways, but ultimately, just complete the fucking dungeon. As long as the dungeon's done, then if you don't have the time to spend 6 more minutes fucking hitting something, and you got a baby rage all over, and the dungeon ends up taking twice as long because you're pissed off at the healer, you kick the healer, and you gotta wait for the new one, you're just fucking wasting even more time. So I don't know. It's like, there's so many sides to this coin that it all depends on which one you take heart with. And I think there's too much complaining on all ends. I think it's just literally, if you're so concerned about whether or not your healers are DPSing, you want to only party with healers who don't DPS, make your own fucking party, alright? If you want only healers who DPS, just make your own party. Stop doing duty finder shit and then complaining about it there, where you're playing with random fucking people with random fucking thoughts on how the game should be played. That's it. If you don't want to be subject to that, make your own fucking party and leave everyone else alone. That's it. That's it. The green energy is... I'm going Super Saiyan over this, alright? That's just how it's happening with the fucking energy around me. That's it. That's my answer to this fucking question, alright? That's the best answer I can come up. Are they lazy? I don't know, but just fucking make content, make parties with people that are like-minded with you, and you will never have this fucking issue ever again. Alright, on that note, that is actually the last question that we have on the forums. So, I am going to wrap up this Mondays with Mr. Happy. I'm going to go heat up some lunch, and I'm going to watch the Microsoft conference for E3. If anything exciting happens, I'll make a video for that. Also, State of the Realm was early this week. You guys are seeing this on Monday on YouTube. You'll actually also be getting State of the Realm on Monday because I posted it, because we're doing it on Sunday this week because I'm going to E3 this week. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to spend like 3 more minutes with my Twitch chat, wrap up here, and then I'm going to go get some food. Thank you for watching, everyone, this week. Be sure to ask your questions in the forum thread on the Dream Network forums for next week's, and it will be post-Stormblood launch, so it's going to be crazy. I will see you guys next time, and until then, take care.